Hello, this is Craig from bitsbooks.co.uk. This is the second part of a video of painting the Genestealer Patriarch model from the Deathwatch Overkill box set. As you can see, we've already painted his skin and his armor plates. So in this video we're going to continue painting the rest of the model, and we're going to start getting some Skaven Blight dinge, and this is for his claws. So just base coat all his claws with this colour. I like this colour because it's a grey colour, but also has a bit of a sort of a bluey greeny sort of slight tint to it. So just continue to go around the model, painting all the spikes and this big spike on the end of his tail too. So now it's done, we're now going to highlight it. I'm just going to edge highlight it, and I'm going to try something different to what I normally do. So I'm going to take Skaven Blight dinge again, and I'm going to mix it with some Stegodon Scale Green. And now I'm just going to edge highlight all the spikes. And you can see I'm just running the side of my brush just along this tail spike. And you'll go around all the spikes, just edge highlighting in this way. You can see here I'm doing it on the claws as well. So with that highlight now done, it's very hard to sort of see it on the camera, it's quite a subtle highlight, but we are going to be building that up. So to do that, we're going to take Skaven Blight dinge, and also take some Sotek Green. So again, just highlighting the same manner as before, but this time I'm going to concentrate more towards the edges of the spikes. So just build this highlight up. Now this is a different way to how I'd usually highlight sort of spikes like this. Maybe I'll just highlight up in different greys, but I wanted to try something with like these greeny turquoisey colours, just to try a different effect. So now that I've gone around with this highlight, I'm just going to do one more highlight on the claws, and that's just going to be Sotek Green just on its own. I really like this colour because it's like a turquoisey colour. And this time I'm just going to focus right on the edges of the tips. And with that, all the spikes are done. You can see it sort of gives them like this sort of green tint sort of going towards the tips of them. So next we're going to take some Emperor's Children, and this is for the tongue. So quite simply really, I'm just layering this on the tongue. As it's a layer paint, you may need a couple of thin coats just to get a good coverage. But there's nothing more to it than just layering it on. So now that layer's dry, just going to add some depth to it. So we're going to take some Carabao Crimson. And I'm just literally just applying it all over the tongue of the model. Obviously don't apply it on too heavily, but just enough to get in all the recesses, and then just tint the pink slightly just to bring the colour down. Now I'm going to edge highlight it with Fulgrim Pink. In hindsight this is probably a bit too bright, and maybe I should have came back in with the Emperor's Children first. As you can see, it's quite stark contrast highlight. But you'll also see that I'll just blend it slightly into the colour so it doesn't stick out so much, and once it's dry it doesn't look too bad. So just go around the tongue, just highlighting up. You can see now it's dried. Yeah, the highlight doesn't look too bad. So I'm going to take some Baneblade Brown, and this is going to be the base coat for the teeth. So I just run my brush along the teeth. I sort of overbrush when it comes to these sort of teeth, so what I mean by that is just have a little bit less paint on the brush than usual and just sort of run the brush lightly over it. And next I'm going to do exactly the same but with some shabby bone, and I'm just going to focus more towards the tips of the teeth, as this will just give us a little bit of a highlight. You can see I'm just sort of overbrushing it over the ends of the teeth. It's very hard to sort of see from this angle due to his claws. But you can see I'm just going along the front of the teeth as well. So next we're going to take a bloodletted glaze, and this is going to be for his eyes. So I'm going to do a little sort of glowing effect around his eyes. So just take a little bit of a bloodletted glaze and just build it up in the eyes and around the eye socket. This will give you like a little red glow just going around the eyes. So once that glaze is then dry, we can then put a highlight in the middle of the eyes, and for that I'm going to use Uriel Yellow. So this is literally just to paint the eyeball itself, and just be very careful when you do this step. So with that, the Genestealer himself is now complete. So now we're going to look at the base. So to start I'm going to paint the pipe that you're standing on. So I'm going to take a lead belcher. And I'm literally just going to base coat this all over the pipe. And I find with the GW metallics sometimes you might need a couple of coats just to get a nice smooth finish with them, even with the base ones. So just go around and be careful not to get any on his toes. So before I continue the pipe, I'm just going to take some dried bark. Now I'm using a Citadel air paint here, but you can just water it down. And this is just to paint the sand on his base. I quite like using the air paints because of their thin consistency, and we can really get them in between all the texture. So now that's done, I'm going to apply a shade wash to both parts, which I'm going to do with Numb Oil. So with the pipe I'm looking to go around all these raised areas, as well as putting some shade into all the little scratches and bullet holes and such. And on the base I'm just going to go all over with a slightly thinned down wash. So when the wash is completely dry, it's time to highlight the pipe. So I'm going to take some Iron Breaker, and I'm literally just going to paint this onto all the raised areas and just around the rim as well. So with the highlight done, we can now start to add some rust effects. So I'm going to use Riser Rust. Now I really like this rust technical paint that GW do, and I'm literally just going to dry brush it on just in random areas. And the more random you can make it, the more you can really sort of sell the effect. So once you're happy with that, I'm going to take some Nailac Oxide. Now I know that metal doesn't really oxidize like sort of silver and that, but I like to just use a little bits here and there just to add a little bit more sort of colour. This is entirely optional if you don't wish to do this, of course. You want it to be a bit more realistic. But I just think it makes it just look slightly a bit more interesting and helps sells the effect that it's quite rusted and weather worn. I'm literally just applying it very thinly and very generous, just in random places again. So with that, I'm now going to go on to the sort of the slime and the gunge. Now of course the model doesn't come with this slime pouring out of the pipe. However, there are little bits sort of on the pipe itself what's sculpted on, and I'm also going to paint these the same colour. So when that's dry, I'm going to give it a shade wash. So the colour I'm going to use for the shade wash is a Phonian Camo Shade. I quite like this because it's like a browny green colour. It works really well for stuff such as slime. It gives it that sort of dirty green look. So once I've gone around the slime on the base and on the pipe, I'm just going to give them a little highlight. And with that I'm going to use Ogren Camo. So I'm literally just going to hit all the raised areas on these pieces around the pipe. And I'll do the same on all the slime that's coming out of the pipe as well. So with that, the slime is complete. You may want to add a gloss varnish over it once the model's finished, just to give it that extra slimy effect. So now I'm going to take some Abaddon Black, and this is to paint the Deathwatch helmet on the base. There's also one in the Genestealer's hand as well. So just be very careful, just going around his fingers. So once the black is dry, I'm just going to give it a quick edge highlight of Eshan Grey. Now you may wish to also paint the lenses in these helmets. I tend not to, if they're like sort of on bases like they're Dead Space Marine helmets. I always just leave the lenses blank, but you may wish to paint them, so that's entirely optional. But for this I'm just going to leave the eye lenses just black. So now I'm going to take some Rakar Flesh, and this is to base coat all the skulls that are on the base. As you can see, I sort of overbrush on the skulls as well to keep like the eye sockets still black. But it doesn't matter if you don't do this, because we're going to now hit it with a wash of Agrak's Earthshade. And I paint this just into all the recesses anyway, just to give the skulls just a bit more depth. So once that shade's fully dry, you can highlight them with Ushabti Bone. And I like to highlight around the eye sockets and around the nose, and also just on the forehead as well, just above the eyes. And with that, the skulls are complete. So we're almost at the end of this tutorial now. There's a few little details to do, so I'm going to get some Retributor armour, and this is to paint these little Tyranid symbols that are on the base. So you may want to give them a wash of Agrak's Earthshade. I just haven't really bothered here. So I'm going to take some Tyrant Skull, and this is to dry brush on the sand on the base. Now I often use this Dryad bark with Tyrant Skull dry brush for a lot of my bases, just for a quick and easy sort of mud effect. So here's the finished model. As you can see, I've painted the rim of the base with Gore 4 Brown, and I've also added just a few little bits of static grass as well. But that is essentially it. That is for Genestealer Patriarch. So I hope you've enjoyed this little tutorial series. If there's any other tutorials you'd like me to do, whether it's techniques or models you wish to see me paint, then please leave comments below. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.